Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be going over Grixis Breach. This is a combo deck built around very powerful card, Underworld Breach. Now this is pretty much the same deck as the original Rakdos Breach that was around in the early days of Timeless, but it has recently fallen a bit to the wayside as the format adjusted and people started running hate cards. It lost a bit of metagame share, and then when Show and Tell came out, that really kind of pushed it to the wayside because Show and Tell immediately came the best deck by a lot. But the result of this is that people are now running a lot less hate for Breach, and they're a lot less prepared for it. So now, with a couple new additions, namely Wailing Forgotten, which is the reason we're splashing blue, this deck's actually poised to attack the metagame in a really unique way, and I think it's a really strong deck currently, especially if you've mastered the deck and you know how to play it. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say there's a Timeless metagame challenge coming up this weekend, and if you're looking to play in it and pick up this deck for it, then I highly recommend checking out my Patreon. It's linked in the description, and I've got a ton of content on this deck on there right now. I've got my original guide from back from Timeless's early days, as well as kind of more recent update and an update for this version of the deck, the Blue Splash. And between those, you've got everything you need to know on how to play the deck and how to sideboard with it and how to play every matchup. And just got tips and tricks, just everything you need to know on how to pick up the decks, and, you know, a more in-depth explanation of how the combo works and all that. So I highly recommend checking that out if you want to take your skill with this deck to the next level. Additionally, patrons get some perks like special stuff in my Discord, also linked in the description. I highly recommend you check it out if you want to, chat with me and get access to deck lists early and stuff like that. Ask me questions. That's the best place to do that. And patrons get some extra perks, like just more of my attention as a thank you for being a patron of mine, and some extra stuff. So yeah, definitely go ahead and check that out. And without further ado, let's get into the deck tech. So as I mentioned before, this deck is built around Underworld Breach. Underworld Breach is a really, really powerful card, Abandoned Legacy even, and it lets you cast cards from your graveyard at the cost of also exiling 3 cards from your graveyard in addition to their mana cost. And so the way you break that is first, you generate mana. Dark Ritual is just an absurd way to do this. It's 1 mana and you get 3. What more can you ask for, right? This card's really, really powerful, and it sets the cornerstone of this deck as its mana generation. Now, after you've got mana, you need to fill your graveyard, and the best way this deck has to do this is Stitcher Supplier. When it ETBs or dies, you mill 3. And it's also joined by a Dragon Rage Channeler, which you get to Surveil 1, which effectively, when you're comboing off, is just mill 1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, and you've also got stuff like, you got a bunch of spells, and Mishra's Bauble, and fetch lands. So you've got a lot of ways to fill the graveyard, just while you're playing out your early game. Wailing Forgotten also does this. It fills the graveyard with the Anticipate mode, where you look at the top 3 and then put 2 in the graveyard. Also pretty solid for filling the graveyard, because it itself also goes to the graveyard. So that's 2 mana, 3 cards. But yeah, this deck pretty good at just filling up the graveyard early. But then once you get the Underworld Breach down and start comboing, the main combo is you get down Stitcher Supplier and you use your mana you generated from Dark Ritual to cast Diabolic Intent, to sacrifice Stitcher Supplier to get the second mill 3 trigger. And now with these 3 going, you don't actually go positive on anything but Storm Count. You're going slightly negative on mana and slightly negative on cards in graveyard, though those are interchangeable because of Dark Ritual, which lets you convert cards in graveyard into mana. But anyway, you go slightly negative on resources, but what you do is while you're spinning your wheels, you're generating Storm Count. And you don't actually need that much Storm Count for Tendrils of Agony to kill your opponent. So if you go like Dark Ritual, Stitcher Supplier, Diabolic Intent, do that again, and then Tendrils, that's already 14 damage. Not very difficult to get to 20 from there. And you don't need actually that many starting cards in graveyard or mana to be able to do that. That's a common misconception about this deck. People think, oh, well, this Breach deck must need to somehow go infinite and go through its entire deck before it can win. Nope, you can just spin your wheels for a bit with Stitchers and Dark Ritual and Diabolic Intent. And then by the end of that, Tendrils is going to be lethal, no infinite required. Now, you do actually start netting mana and cards in graveyard once you've got a single Dragon Rage Channeler in play. At this point, it's pretty difficult to fizzle the combo if you've got all your pieces going, because with Dark Ritual, Stitcher Supplier, and Diabolic Intent, you actually just net cards in graveyard and net mana, and then it's really easy to get up to enough Storm Count with Tendrils of Agony. So Dragon Rage Channel makes things a lot easier, but it can be difficult to get down because it requires red mana, and Dark Ritual only requires black. But it's very, very possible to combo without Dragon Rage Channeler. It just means that Dragon Rage Channeler is another threat that makes comboing even easier. Now, supporting this combo package, we've got stuff like Thoughtseize and Lightning Bolt as interaction, as well as Wail of Forgotten. Previous versions of this deck had more bolts and fatal pushes, but I cut those for Wail of Forgotten because Wail of Forgotten is not dead against Show and Tell while still being interaction. So I think it's slightly better currently because also there's just kind of been a bit of a shift away from creature decks, aside from Zoo, because of Show and Tell. I've got some Acceleration and Deathrite Shaman, and we've got Tutors, Diabolic Intent, and Demonic Tutor, and a nice threat in Orcish Bowmasters, which doesn't synergize with the deck too much, aside from the fact that it can be sacked to Diabolic Intent, which is actually pretty strong because your opponent needs to kill 2 creatures to prevent that. But it's just such a messed up card, and allows this deck to really kind of support its fair game plan more, that it warrants a 4 of in this deck. Especially alongside Luris, which this deck gets a companion. You can play a pretty fair game plan sometimes by just going like Thoughtseize, Deathrite Shaman, couple Bowmasters, and just grind your opponent out. Now in the mana base, we've got pretty standard stuff. A bunch of fetch lands because we care about the graveyard, and a blue splash with these 2 lands here, which we've got 12 sources for, with 10 fetch lands plus 2 lands, which isn't a ton. They've also got Deathrite Shaman and a bunch of ways to dig between Bauble and Dragon Rage and whatnot. So this deck gets its blue mana pretty consistently, and since we've only got 3 blue cards in the main deck, if we miss on blue, it's not that big of an issue. And we've also got the one of Rakuous Theater, which is just insanely busted. Like, I almost want to run 2 in this deck, even though tap lands are so punishing, because not only is Surveil one just great in every deck when you can turn every fetch land into a way to get yourself a little bit of card selection, this deck is really reliant on its graveyard, so if you can surveil like a Dark Ritual or something in the graveyard, even just up the graveyard count by 1 for Wail of Forgotten or Underworld Breach, you'll be in great shape. And we've got a one of Phyrexian Tower. This card's pretty nice, especially for sacrificing Citrus Supplier. Not running more than 1 because it can be a little clunky, producing colorless mana and being legendary, but a very solid card. Now, onto the sideboard. First of all, we've got 4 Fatal Push, as I mentioned before. There's a lot of Zoo in the metagame currently because it's got a good matchup into Show and Tell, and Fatal Push is hands down the best card against Zoo, because the best way to fight in the Zoo matchup is to kind of stifle their early aggression, make sure they can't put too much of a clock on you, and then you can play around their interaction a lot more easily. We've also got 3 Wailing Vortex. This card's really, really important against Show and Tell, because Show and Tell, once they put an Omniscience into play, Vortex is going to deal them 5 for every spell they freecast. They do board in Corrosion Grip generally because it kills Breach, so that can also hit the Wailing Vortex and allow them to combo off. But it's better than basically every other option because it's cheap, it works with Luris, you can tutor it, you can cast it, and it doesn't get got by Veil of Summer, unlike a card like Necromantia or whatever would, which, yes, you can ritual into Necromantia, but you get got by a Veil of Summer. And this deck is already pretty soft to Veil of Summer, so that's not a great place to be. Now, other than that, we got a couple tutor targets here. Pithing Needle and Unlicensed are proactive hate cards against other decks, which you can tutor up with your Diabolic Intents and Demonic Tutors, so that's why having like a one of each of these is pretty valuable, because you actually have access to 5 copies between the 4 tutors. And we've got Feed the Swarm as a way to destroy Rest in Peace and Leyline Binding and stuff, mostly in the deck to destroy Graveyard Hate, but can have some utility outside of that as well, destroy Leyline out of the Void or whatever. And we've got a one of Molten Collapse. This has a pretty high floor, just kills a creature, and most matchups you board it in, you'll have targets that are creatures. But what Molten Collapse is really in the deck for is to, or in the sideboard anyway, is to destroy Grafdigger's Cage and Deafening Silence, another kind of cheap Graveyard Hate or just anti-combo hate pieces. Also works against Tormod's Crypt and Soul Guide Lantern, just forces your opponent to pop them. And this card's pretty solid. I've gone down a bit on Feed the Swarm Molten Collapse because there are just less anti-breach cards in the metagame, so that's less necessary. But still nice to have access to some of them. And there's no Braid in the sideboard because I just have not seen many unlicensed sources. But if that becomes an issue, then definitely throw in a Braid maybe over a Fatal Push or something. Now, you may notice that I've been avoiding 3 cards in the sideboard because these are actually part of a brand new package of the deck. First up, we've got Thassa's Oracle. Now, you might be wondering, why do you have Thassa's Oracle in the sideboard? You only have 2 blue lands in the entire deck, and often enough you'll mill over one of them, so you can barely even hardcast this card. What is it doing in the deck? Well, so Previously, this deck ran a Grape Shot and a Chromatic Sphere to be able to kill your opponent through a Veil of Summer. Now, Veil of Summer, it gives your opponent hexproof from black spells. And Tendrils of Agony happens to be black. So if they Veil of Summer in response to your Tendrils, it fizzles and you don't get to kill them. And that can put you in a really bad spot. So previously, you would have Grape Shot to solve that issue, as you'd be able to double Grape Shot your opponent with Chromatic Sphere, or just get up to enough Storm to kill them with a single one. And the issue with Grape Shot is it takes more Storm and needs red mana. You need to somehow produce red mana to be able to cast it. So it's a lot more difficult to kill your opponent with Tendrils, with Grape Shot than it is with Tendrils. But I've actually managed to fix that issue with Thassa's Oracle, because Thassa's Oracle, all you need to do is you need to deck yourself, and then you can unearth Thassa's Oracle, which takes black mana, not blue. And black mana, you got plenty. So you can just deck yourself, and Oracle just wins the game as well. But it'll win the game even if you can't generate high enough Storm count for a Grape Shot. That can be an issue, is sometimes you just simply don't have enough cards in Graveyard to generate enough Storm count for a Grape Shot, and also red mana. So that can be a real issue. And Unearth is also just like a solid card, but the way you deck yourself is you use Altar of Dementia. And Altar of Dementia, once you've got a Stitcher Supplier, an Altar of Dementia, and a Dark Ritual, you're spending 1 mana and 3 cards in Graveyard to mill 7 cards, because you mill 6 from the Stitchers, and you also mill 1 because Stitchers has 1 power. So you're turning one mana into 4 cards in Graveyard, and then you're taking 3 cards in Graveyard to generate +2 mana with Dark Ritual. So you don't need to be a mathematician to realize that you're going really positive on mana and cards in Graveyard with Altar. Now, Altar was previously not in a deck because it's really just not needed for the combo turns, and it's really bad outside of the combo turns, but with the 1 of Altar in the deck post-sideboard, you can tutor it while you're comboing, and then you'll go fully infinite, even without a Dragon Mage Channeler, and you can deck yourself and win the Thassa's Oracle. And at this point, Thassa's Oracle is just a lot safer than using Grape Shot, and it's also just often a better card than Grape Shot against decks like Show and Tell. Sometimes you'll be able to hardcast it if you just fetch out 2 blue lands, and if it ends up in your hand, you can always toss these into the graveyard once you're comboing to be able to unearth it. So I found the Unearth Thassa's Oracle Altar of Dementia combo to just be a little bit more consistent now that you need to be able to win through Veil of Summer even faster, because Show and Tell decks are running Veil of Summer. So yeah, that's the deck. Let's get into some games. Alright, welcome to match number 1, and we've got a really good opening hand here. Missing a Dark Ritual, but if we find a Dark Ritual, and I guess we can Diabolic Intent for Breach and just go off pretty early. And also, this hand has a very solid game plan of just going Dragon Rage into Bowmasters and to enable Delirium and to just beat you in the face. Now, oh, okay. This is very interesting. So there's 2 things I want to consider here. One is, Dark Ritual can potentially let me combo on turn 3. Can't quite combo on turn 2 because Diabolic Intent for a Breach is 4 mana. I can only generate 4 mana here. But in theory, I could go next turn, Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent, Breach, have a mana to flashback Dark Ritual, and go ham. The second thing I'm worried about is a Bowmasters from my opponent. Looks like Gigantha, which could be either Domain or Jund Midrange. Either of those decks have Bowmasters. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play out a Stitcher Supplier, and there's a decent chance I can enable Delirium here with Stitcher Supplier in conjunction with Wooded Foothills getting a Surveil land. And there you go, that's Delirium. So that was nice and easy. And this means that my opponent has to do something. They have to have some good interaction here to prevent me from comboing off on turn 3. Well, Forgotten is going to go into the graveyard because A, cards in the graveyard are as valuable. So if you're questioning like, should I surveil this card to the top or into the graveyard? If it's just like an average card, surveil it into the graveyard, because just the simple existence of that card in the graveyard is already a net positive. And Well Forgotten also, we just don't have blue mana to cast it, which is one of the issues with getting Rakdos Theater, but we really don't need it right now. But yeah, now my opponent plays like a Tarmogoyf or something, and they're just dead to Breach. Even if they do this, now things get interesting. Because now... Oh, Demonic Tutor too. I think we can go off. I'm pretty sure we should be able to go off this turn. So I go Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent, sack Stitcher Supplier, Breach, go down to 1 mana floating. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards in the graveyard. 12 cards in the graveyard. Storm count, 1, 2, 3. I need to get to storm count 8. So I can go, this is already 2 storm count, that's 5 storm count. Dark Ritual, Stitcher Supplier, Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent, Dark Ritual. Yeah. This should be good. And I'm kind of saying my thoughts out loud here just so you can get a sense of kind of how my thought process goes. They could go to kill my Stitcher Supplier in response here. That's the one thing I'm worried about. But it's also not that much of an issue because then they're just putting 3 cards on my graveyard. And I have a Demonic Tutor here, so I could go Demonic Tutor instead of Diabolic Intent. Drawing Demonic Tutor and being resilient to a removal spell is kind of the reason why I wanted to go for it here. And this also means that my opponent's just basically dead to tendrils right away. Oh, Spell Pierce. Okay. Okay, I can respect the Spell Pierce. Well, I might as well pay, I suppose. Doesn't actually matter. Because I'm just going to cast Demonic Tutor or Underworld Breach. Now, there's an argument for playing Diabolic Intent, because if they kill my Stitcher Supplier, then I get kind of punished for that. Because I can't cast the Diabolic Intent. But I also have this Bowmasters. That's probably not a huge risk, and I'd be able to be able to have the Stitcher Supply in play to attack if my opponent I was gonna say exactly Thoughtseize as me, and I can't go for the combo. It looks like my opponent's on some kind of 4-color Death Shadow deck, actually. Ooh, Phyrexian Tower. So Phyrexian Tower is interesting because I can get down Bowmasters and put Lurrus in my hand, and then they need to worry about Diabolic Intent and Lurrus. I think that's good. I think I just kind of want to overload them and put too much threats in play that they can deal with. Because if this game goes long, there's a decent chance this can go wrong for me. If they get to like fire off a Treasure Cruise or something safely, or like land a Death Shadow and start putting a clock on me, I just kind of want to overload their answers. You know, what I'm hoping for is my opponent has like 0 or 1 counter spells or removal spells, and I can just go like Lurrus, and they're forced to kill it, and then I can push through a Diabolic Intent. Or maybe place them in some position where I'm just putting too much pressure on them. Okay, second Bowmasters comes down, gets my Orcish Bowmasters, and that presumably means that Lurrus gets to come down unless I have a second Thoughtseize. Nope, it's just gonna be a Mortuary. Alright, yeah, so now we get Lurrus down, which is really strong. Thoughtseize is interesting. Thoughtseize means I can get down Lurrus, get back up Bauble still. But I don't love the idea of that, because if my opponent had a piece of good interaction, let's think. They can't enable Revolt for Fatal Push. They didn't leave out Red Mana, so they probably don't have Bolt. They clearly don't have Thoughtseize. I don't think Thoughtseizing accomplishes a ton here. I would rather get down a Lurrus and then immediately play a creature, so that if they have a removal spell, I have something to sack to Diabolic Intent. Because the Nightmare scenarios, I go Lurrus, Bauble, they kill the Lurrus, they draw a removal spell after I Thoughtseize them or whatever, and then I'm stuck with this Diabolic Intent dead in hand. And the Orcish Bowmasters is pressuring me because I had to sack the Mistral Bauble to go digging, and then I can end up in a pretty rough spot. So that's not where I want to be. Looks like an opponent, not sure whether they're hovering Dragon Rage, because if they have a removal spell, it has to kill the Lurrus. Unless they're worried about their life total. Because they can block the Lurrus, I suppose, but that seems really bad. They might just be reading it for some reason. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Alright. It's difficult to ascertain whether it's a good or bad thing that they're tanking, because on one hand it means they have choices, but on the other hand it means they don't have any obvious choices. Okay, so Inquisition, it has to be that they just drew the Inquisition. That must be the card they top decked for a turn, and nothing else would make sense. Yeah, I think that was the case. So in this case, had we Thoughtseize, given that they had an Inquisition, things are just fine either way. Because now I could just cast an Underworld Breach from the graveyard and win. I was gonna say, I was gonna do a little bit more thinking, but that's in fact just not required here. Oh, there's the tendrils. That's very convenient. So yeah, we can just go Dark Ritual once here, and opponent scoops it up. Yep. So that's kind of how you want these grindy matchups to go, is you just kind of deploy a bunch of threats out, and once they let a single one slip through, in this case it was Luris getting back Dragon Rage, so they couldn't deal with it, and which kind of overwhelmed them and could go for a breach safely. Also, if they didn't have that one hand disruption spell to take the breach, we were just going to untap and win. If they didn't have the spell pierce, we were going to also just win right away. Though I would have liked waiting to spell pierce the breach. I don't think spell piercing Dark Ritual was good. I can understand why they did that, but I think they were playing a little too scared and could have potentially put themselves in a much better position if they had saved the Thoughtseize and 2-for-1'd me. But totally understand why they played like that. A lot of people, that's the thing, a lot of people get kind of nervous against Breach because they don't know exactly what to expect or what it takes. They don't understand the deck, so they play a little worse. It's definitely something you can take advantage of while playing this deck. So they're playing green mana, but I'm not too worried about Veil of Summer. Maybe I should be. How do I want to sideboard against this deck? I could bring in Fatal Pushes because I'm kind of expecting... What I'll do is I'll board out 2 Wail of the Forgotten or 2 Fatal Push. Yeah, because I'm kind of expecting... Actually, no, you know what? Probably want to go down on some number of Thoughtseize. I think I want the full playset of Fatal Push because my opponent seems to be the type of deck to play Death Shadow. Maybe I don't want... I'll go 3-on-3 on the Fatal Push. It's kind of difficult to tell without knowing one other deck. If I'm worried about Veil of Summer, I could board in the Thoracle package, but that doesn't seem amazing. Though I do want to board out Whale, some number of Whale, because it doesn't seem as necessary. If they're not going to be having... Actually, maybe it's a good grindy piece, so I think I'll go like this. Kind of difficult to sideboard against the style deck, because you're not exactly sure what to expect, and all of your cards are pretty good. Like, Thoughtseize can take their disruption, so it's fine. Fatal Push can kill their creatures, but it's not like they're a zoo deck where you can just 1-for-1 their creatures. It's like they've got a bunch of Bowmasters and Fables and stuff, so Fatal Push is obviously that good, and they're also not that focused on pressuring. And then, like, Whale is also in a weird spot where it's a good value card, but they could have Graveyard Hate, and it's not bouncing anything that they can't recast right away, except for the Fable token. So all of your cards are just okay, is the thing, and that's kind of a rough spot to be in. You want when you're sideboarding to have like some cards that are really bad, some cards that are really good, and you can easily make that swap. In this case, it's kind of make some amalgamation of your deck and sideboard based on vibes and run it. Yeah, anyway, this is a pretty solid hand. I've got lands and spells, so there's not much more to say. Mulliganing in this matchup's pretty bad, and these lands and spells tend to line up pretty well, right? I can go probably turn 1 Deathrite since I don't want to play into a Bowmasters. And I'll play the Watery Grave since I don't want to fetch with a Bloodstained Mire right away necessarily. If I find like a Bauble or something, and I don't want to play the Rakdos Theod on turn 1 because I want to play a 1-drop. Also, because I might want to fetch a mountain with the Bloodstained Mire. I might want to fetch a Shockland. Kind of difficult to say. If I fetch a mountain, I can't play the Deathrite. And I don't want to fetch Blood Crypt, probably. Okay, opponent just goes for the Giant Lock. Yeah, really looks like a Death Shadow deck. Going for... Going for Dragon's Rage into Bowmasters is just so risky. I think I would rather just play Rakdos Theater this turn. Bloodstained Mire. I don't need a Bloodstained Mire. And then... I mean, we're almost at Delirium, I suppose. Oh, this probably has to take my Breach, I would assume. Breach or Dragon's Rage. But next turn I could have gone Dragon Rage and then Diabolic Intent right away, get Dark Ritual, maybe set something up. As it is, I think I'm probably just going to have to jam a Luris to hand here. Oh, Dark Ritual. A little late to the party, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab a mountain here and just bring Luris to hand. Are they going to Stifle me? Really? Okay. What I thought. Yeah, kind of expecting Bowmasters here. Didn't want to go for the Dragon's Rage since I don't want to sack it to Diabolic Intent right away on this board state. I'd get got by by Spell Pierce, and I don't really want to go for the combo super hard here because my opponent probably has a lot of interaction that could go badly. I'd rather just go Luris to hand and kind of play this game a little slower and just hope that my opponent can't put a big clock on me. Because the main punish here is if they go like Death Shadow and put a fast clock on me, and I don't get to use all my cards, so it's fine that they don't have that much disruption. Like if they, for example, go for Minsc and Boo here, that would be a pretty big punish. But also, it puts me pretty close to winning right away, so I think it was the better play. It does look like Minsc and Boo here, but it's kind of sketchy for them to tap out. Yeah, okay, no Minsc and Boo. They're just going to bring Jagala to hand. That's fair. We're clearly... Oh, Fable. Yeah, Fable is fine. Now that they're empty-handed, we know we don't have anything to worry about except what comes off the top. So, that's a pretty good draw. Here's what I could do. So I go Dark Ritual, Dragon's Rage, Diabolic Intent, get Breach, but we can't cast it right away and have mana up for Dark Ritual. So that's a no-go. I think what I'm going to do is just Dragon's Rage. And then I'm just going to Bowmasters right away. Since I don't want to let them loot off Fable, I do want to get underneath a Stern Scolding if they have that. So now they're kind of pressured into not looting, but they kind of need to loot because they need to find an answer to what is effectively 2 breaches in my hand. Yeah, so they loot, and we ping down their 1/1, and now they're on 6. They got a 2/2. They can't really attack because they're just going to die. Sure, Bowmasters kill my Bowmasters, but now you're just dead to a breach. All right, so... And actually, they're not even dead to a breach. They're dead to Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent for Bolt. Dark Ritual, not even required. Just Diabolic Intent for Bolt. Dragon's Rage hits them 3. That's the nice part about having 1 Bolt. I generally don't cut it in most matchups. Is having just a single Bolt to tutor for when your opponent goes to 3, or if you got a breach and you recast it a couple times, having that as a backup is pretty solid. And it's also just like a removal spell that works on most creatures, right? Yeah, even though a breach would do it here, Bolt does it a little faster. So we're just gonna do that. Just confirm my 3 damage real quick. Let me just check that I have a Bolt in the deck. Yeah. I have messed that up before. I'm a little ashamed to admit. Never a good feeling when I'm like, tutor for this card, and you look through your deck. Where is it? Where is it? No such issues here. Alright, this matchup tends to be pretty good because Breach, basically in this matchup, a lot of the time you can just talk to top deck Breach at any time and just win. So it's, you're pretty comfortable just letting the game go a little later. When the real issue is sometimes if they get like a piece of Graveyard Hate down, then it can be kind of difficult to grind through that. Alright, on the play versus Beef Offering, and yeah, this hand's a little odd, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it. And here's the rationale. I'm going to go... Yeah, I'm going to go turn 1 Dragon's Rage. And then I'm going to play Stitcher Supplier on 2, and depending on what my opponent does, I may try to play around Bowmasters by going second Stitchers to turn on Delirium. Yeah, it seems probably necessary here. If I don't find Delirium off the first one. And I'm going to leave up the Fetch instead of playing the Swamp, even though I might want to play Dragon's Rage, which is a slight punish, because if I mill over a land, I might want to just play Swamp for Stitchers. Yeah, so you see, 3 out of 4 for Delirium. I'm going to play the Stitchers and try to hit the 4th one because I really just don't want to get got by Bowmasters. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Fatal Push here, but getting down 2 Stitchers is totally fine as well. Yeah, hit the 4th one, and I would just get to swing in right away for 3. Nice. Fatal Push? Yeah. Alright. This is fun. The main issue here is that if they just thought these Dolores counter our next spell, we're going to be out of gas. But this is a pretty fast start. We can put a bit of a clock on them on with Stitchers, and top deck Breach at any point in this game now just wins if it doesn't get countered. Alright, let's just go ahead and clock in for 2. It's not really worth trying to get up to 7 mana to be able to wait and immediately bring Lurrus to hand and cast it so it doesn't get got by discard, because at that point it's just eat a counterspell anyway. And we do have access to Surveil here, a little bit of card selection, so, you know, if our opponent's hand, like, oh wait, we're playing as Show and Tell. Aren't we? I assumed it was Dimir Control, but seeing the Hedge Maze, it seems like Show and Tell, so we might just be dead here. This is a little surprising because Show and Tell doesn't usually run Fatal Push and Thoughtseize, so much interaction. But I do have a feeling that we're just gonna get destroyed here. Born Upon the Wind, sure, cycling. If they have an Atraxa here, and a GG's or unrevealed. Okay, well, it's possible for them to whiff. I'm not gonna scoop yet. But once I start really going crazy, I'm not playing this out. For your sake as much as mine. Well, did they win? Is it true? Do gods bleed? Oh yeah. No, Dig's gonna do it. I don't know why they were thinking for so long. Dig's just GG's most likely. I mean, maybe they don't have a Traxa and they have a deck that's kind of where it's possible to whiff. But I would be kind of shocked by that. Yep. You got it. At this point, they're gotta be like 99.99% to win. Alright, so Alter, Whirling Vortex, Unearth, Thoracle, gonna board out Lightning Bolt. Just Lava Spike is not it in this matchup. 2 Bowmasters and 3 Whale. Whale isn't great here because you're not actually going to get to bounce an Omni, so it's just to anticipate. I like to keep 2 Bowmasters to pressure them, but this matchup's not really about that. So I do cut 2. Nothing else I really want to cut because everything just helps me combo faster. And that's really important in this matchup. You got to find Whirling Vortex, get it down, and then combo. Because generally, unless you're on the play and they don't have that much interaction, they're going to be able to show and tell into Omni faster than you. But they also have a solid chance of whiffing, especially since they can't really show and tell into a Traxa because you get to combo off faster because of it. Like a Traxa is just a 3-turn clock that finds them. Generally, it's a 1-turn clock. They go a Traxa, find another show and tell, and just win next turn. But it can be very risky to do because even just like letting you put a land into play or something can let you combo in the next turn. So, all right, I'm gonna keep this. It's really close to just winning. I'm just going to fetch a Surveil land on turn 1 and hope. And we're looking for basically any creature here or Whirling Vortex. On post board, they're going to be a little slower because I boarded interaction and such. So I'm not as worried about keeping a hand that wins right away. But I don't think this is a mulligan. Even though it can go wrong, I don't think this is supposed to be a mulligan. But it's also a multiply, which is nice, but show and tell tends to mulligan pretty well because they just put Omniscience into play, and then it doesn't matter if you have 2 cards in hand or 4, Trax is just going to win the game anyway. Tapped Mystic Sanctuary kind of implies that their mana situation a little awkward. Maybe they got like a Lorien reveal that they need to set up. Generally, you don't want to play Mystic Sanctuary on turn 1 unless you intend to basically want to save it till as late as possible unless you don't have 3 islands, in which case it'll enter tapped and you want to get it down right away. Alright, a bit unfortunate here to miss on something to do on turn 2. I'm just going to play a Bloodstained Mire and pass. Rather than getting down a tapped Shockland, just because I want to get more cards in my graveyard. If I draw like another fetch land, it's possible I don't get to play out all these. I want to play out all my fetch lands while the game goes on because I want maximum cards in my graveyard, and life steal just does not matter in this match. I'll get a Water Grave. In case I draw Thoracle, I'd like to have access to double blue. And, okay, Deathrite. So now Deathrite comes down, but no, I think I am supposed to just go for the Diabolic Intent. And it's kind of weird, like, I could get a Citrus Buyer and go for the win. High chance it gets like Spell Pierce or something though. My opponent's deck seems like a show and tell deck that would have counterspells post board. In my show and tell list, I don't think it's worth it. But they seem to be on a more controlling version. Brainstorms in response. Okay, well, maybe not then. Yeah, this makes sense for them that they would. I will say on a multi-5, you often don't have enough lands to guarantee that Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield on top later, so playing on turn 1 isn't an indicator of anything too crazy. But yeah, this makes sense now. I think I'm supposed to get Whirling Vortex. This insulates me against them just casting in Show and Tell. They're on 20, so you'd get 4 spells to dig for Crossing Grip. So it's definitely not guaranteed to protect me. Or they just get an Atraxa down and try to race me. But it's a lot better than nothing, and at this point, I'm pretty close to comboing even without tutoring for something helpful. Now, it's interesting, if they go below, I expect them to get a Water Grave and go to 14, which actually just reduces the number of spells they can cast underneath Rolling Vortex by 1. Nope, gets a Swamp. That's smart. That's smart. Yeah, and I kind of expected this. It's just, yeah, they put in Atraxa. That's so risky of them. If their hand is bad, it kind of makes sense. Now I'm probably just dead next turn. But all the chance I can combo. If I draw Stitchers, Dragon's Rage, a land. How about a land? It's not amazing. I just think about this. So now my priority is just making sure they can't cast too many spells onto the Rolling Vortex, which means I need to keep up mana so that Atraxa can't gain life. There's no way I can combo. I'm not even close. So I think I'll just grab a mountain, bring Lurrus to hand, and pass. And I'll just put in a land off of the show and tell, and maybe this gets me closer to comboing. Maybe I can do it next turn. Bit unlucky to kind of just flood out here. I will say it seems like kind of what's happening. Veil of Summer, my opponent's got Veil of Summer up, but it's not even that relevant. They're hovering over Wailing Vortex, reading it, I expect. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have actually just held priority in the upkeep and responded to the ping trigger with the activation, since if they had a Croson Grip, they could destroy it in response, and then I wouldn't be able to stop the life gain. Though, it's pretty unlikely that they would make that play, since they would rather just show and tell Omni in anyway. But still probably worth doing. Okay, Thought Sees me. We kind of gotta take the Breach, yeah. And then oh yeah, obviously I would put in the Lurrus, not the land off the show and tell. What am I talking about? The issues, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now, because if they Thought Seize the Breach and then go for show and tell, I can just put Cat in and have access to Breach anyway. But on the other hand, they're just going to kill me with this Atraxa. Atraxa's actually lethal next turn because of this Rolling Vortex. Yeah, it takes Lurrus. And now show and tell? Or no? They might just want to keep a Veil of Summer. They don't necessarily know that I have a way to easily beat Veil of Summer. That's interesting. Yeah, okay, just passes. Well, we've got one turn. I'll land off the top. So what can we do? I mean, it starts necessarily by going Dark Ritual into Underworld Breach. We just have no other choice. And if they have any interaction, we can't beat it and we just die. Resolves? Okay, so now I think I'm supposed to go Deathrite, Diabolic Intent. Exile 6 cards from my graveyard. Get Stitcher Supplier. Play it. Dark Ritual. Diabolic Intent. Alter. I don't think this works. The issue is I can't Tendrils. I think I might be able to pull off a Tendrils, but I can't. We'll see how close we get. I think that's basically where we're at. Because there's no sense passing the turn because we're just dead to Atraxa. So yeah, I mean, it's possible I could have tried to save a life here or there and live an extra turn, but that's also just extremely risky and unlikely to pay off. Then putting in Atraxa off show and tell, it was a bold move. I don't know if it was correct. It's a desperation play at the end of the day. But it definitely worked out for them. And I got punished pretty hard for Diabolic Intent. Not getting a combo piece. Yeah. Alright, so can't get Alter right away. Gotta get Stitchers. The issue is we just don't have enough mana to make this work. Or we don't have enough cards in graveyard. Cards in graveyard / mana, they're interchangeable. The issue is I can go Ritual. But then I can't cast Diabolic Intent, so I can't get the card from Citrus Supplier, and we're just dead. Yep. Wait. Oh my god, I'm trolling. You can, actually the neat trick, you can Diabolic Intent second Citrus Supplier because you do it as a cost first. You sack Citrus Supplier as a cost first, and then exile a card, so you could go Diabolic Intent, exile these 3. But we do that with mana floating, 4 or 5 cards in the graveyard, get a Dark Ritual. We couldn't get a big enough surplus to get Altar of Dementia anyway. I could have just shown you the path a little bit further, but yeah. That's a thing to keep in track of, but rarely is relevant. Alright, match number 3, and, well, this hand's pretty good. It's pretty close to a turn 2 kill. I don't think we're quite there. If this was a Diabolic Intent, then maybe. But a pretty comfortable turn 3 kill, probably. Lead on Stitchers. Well, crack the fetch land yet, because it's possible that I want to get a Surveil land or a Blue Source. It's nice to delay decisions. What's it going to be, opponent? Plaza of Heroes. Ooh. Kethis? Gotta be Kethis. Man after my own heart. I take it back. I take it back. My opponent is a dirty, dirty aggro player. Yeah, I don't think we can call him a turn 2 because we just don't have, without Diabolic Intent, it's a lot more difficult. Demonic Tutor here being straight up worse. So what's the plan? We just tutor for Diabolic Intent. I don't like that. Presumably, as an aggro deck, my opponent won't have effective interaction in the early turns. Probably best to just bobble them right away first. They have priority for some reason, which is a little suspicious, but that's fine. Hold Fountain. Okay, well, counterspells are possible, I suppose. Let me get a Steam Vent here, since having double red could be relevant. Having double black isn't so much so because I just have Dark Ritual to generate as much as I want. And I mean, I could Whale, but I think I'd rather Demonic Tutor. And then I could Demonic Tutor for Citrus to make the combo turn easier, but or not Citrus. Dragon's Rage, but I don't actually. It would work if I had a land drop because I could go land Ritual, Dragon's Rage, Breach, but without a land, it isn't guaranteed to work, so I'm just getting Diabolic Intent, I think. Though it's interesting if I want to chump this tomorrow, because then that would turn on the Whale, or then it's decently likely I get to turn on Whale on my next turn, with the card from Bauble as well. And that could be some good value. Kind of depends on what my opponent does and what I draw, which is, like, the decisions made with incomplete information might change. Swords? My opponent has swords? Well, that would have been nice to know. Yeah, that's actually kind of awkward. Huh. It's weird that they wouldn't swords right away, then. To prevent me from casting Diabolic Intent. Kind of assumed that wasn't that because I would have thought they would do it right away. I think it... Yeah. Well, punish pretty hard, I suppose. Scroll. What am I doing here? Did you go Whale of Forgotten? Go ahead, land drop and play Death, right? Feels okay. I'm not dead for at least a turn or two. Thoughts using doesn't seem amazing. Missing my land drop here is annoying. I think I'll just Whale. Sure. If I get to Death right and untap and get to Dark Red Diabolic Intent, I just win. I don't think taking anything but the land is even close to correct. I could have Thoughtseize them, but then I don't think I'm necessarily winning on my turn because the Stitchers is exiled. Obviously, I didn't do the math out. It just kind of felt like not enough. And it's sometimes impossible to just do the math out in a timely fashion for every decision. Especially with the arena clock working differently than the Moto one. Yep. Text with both. Draw a card. Mary's pretty good here. I mean, Samaru into Moxamber, Mary, Skrell. This was a good carve out from them. If I was on the draw, I'd be in a lot of trouble. As it is, kind of depends what their last cards are. Adeline post-combat means I must have drawn it off Mary. We got Plaza, I guess that doesn't mean anything. I suppose I do need to play around with second swords, maybe. But they would surely swords the death red if they had it. Okay, GG's. Nice. Still in your graveyard? No, only my graveyard. I still will just make a black mana, though. Alright, looks like this is going to take a second if my opponent keeps tanking on everything. Yeah, opponent's cooking for sure. This is just going to get us Stitchers. That's another thing to keep in track of, is even if you've got all your combo pieces, where they're coming from is actually pretty important. If you're casting them from hand, then you actually need a lot less setup than if you're casting them from the graveyard. Let's see. Go for the Dark Ritual first. Since if I think this is deterministic, but if I stumble into a Dragon's Rage, that thing makes things easier, so I'd rather not tap out a red. But again, pretty sure this is deterministic. I should go Stitchers, Ritual, Ritual, Diabolic Intent, Ritual, Tendrils, GG's. Oh, it skips up. Yep. Saw the writing on the wall. Good game. Okay, well, I guess Zygrom just bringing in for Fatal Push. Yeah, I guess instead of Mox Amber, I'll bring in the Molten Collapse as well. Whale just seems pretty bad. It's kind of unnecessary. And what else? What last cuts? Could go down meet Deathrite. I go on like one Diabolic, one Deathrite. Actually, no, wait, I'm gonna board up Thoughtseize. That's probably better. Not actually anything I want to board in. I think Thoughtseize is better than Whale, probably. Whale is not as good in aggro, and Thoughtseize can still clear out stuff and things. I think this is fine. Thoughtseize is mostly like really awkward on multiples or into Esper Sentinel or whatever, but oh. Okay, I guess we're gonna sit here and wait for a second. For the server. Yeah, but as I was saying, Thoughtseize tends to be clunky against aggro because you lose life and you go down on tempo. But the real big issue is when you, I hope it got my sideboarding, is when you draw them in multiples. Having a single Thoughtseize is still fine. But once you're drawing multiples, it's really awkward. So I'm fine just boarding out on a couple. I don't think it's like life and death that I board out all four, even though it is theoretically bad in a matchup. Yeah, okay, got our sideboarding correct. By the way, you probably can't see this from the screen share, but when I'm like checking things, I'm checking with untapped.gg. I would recommend getting it. Helps you keep track of like what's in your deck and stuff. Really, really useful. Obviously, it doesn't work if you're playing on mobile, but all right. So we got to decide between bolting it and playing Stitcher Supplier. I'm gonna bobble my opponent first, just to see. Photo on top. I'm just gonna go Stitchers. It's just such a huge reward to go Bowmasters the Ragavan, even if they do have the swords, that I'm just not too worried about it. And I have my Tendrils in hand, so what can I even hit off my deck, right? I mean, they could hit Thoughtseize, obviously, but I think it's worth it. I think I'd rather save the bolt. Alright, looks like I'm getting rewarded. They wouldn't play Frodo if they didn't have something. They had something, rather. Okay, this bauble I think I'm supposed to just be playing out my baubles, despite not getting value with Dragon's Rage. Because I'm going main phase Masters, but I want to hit my land drops. I boarded out my blue spells, so I can just get a mountain. I think lifesteal is important enough where I just get a mountain. Bob the Ragavan. But yeah, technically should have bobbled him first, I suppose. I'll just keep the bobble. This means that I don't get the card in hand until later, which is mostly useful if they have like hand disruption or something. I'm not exactly sure what to expect, so I don't know if this is better because I have less things in my hand or worse because it gives me less information about blocks, but what? Passes the turn back. This I do not understand. Why not attack? It seems like they accidentally passed through their combat. That's what it seems like to me. Yeah, what I want to do here, I want to kill the Adeline, because that's a huge issue. I go Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent for a breach. It's like Dragon's Rage, Dark Ritual, Diabolic Intent, Fatal Push. I think that's good. It's a little rough because now I need to hit my land drop, but since I'm shuffling, there's no point in surveilling it to the top. I don't think Diabolic Contenting for anything else makes sense. And this Fatal Push is going to buy me a ton of time. You know what? I have plenty of cards in Graveyard. I'm just going to ensure that my deck has more breaches in it. Maybe that's wrong with any land drop. Actually, that's probably wrong. Because generally that's a good idea because you want to draw breach against decks that can discard it. But in this case, my opponent can really discard it. Maybe they can counter it. I don't know. I don't think the card in Graveyard matters, though. Scoops it up. Okay, fair enough. Oh, that was a nice and easy match number 3. I think we've got a time for a 4th one, shall we? Starting off match number 4 here with a mulligan, it seems. It's just too many lands. Can't keep it, unfortunately. Okay, I'm tempted. I'm tempted. Hear me out. Nah, it's not hearing me out. I could get a surveil land, try to find a second land, but this hand really, really leans on also finding a breach, so. Putting Monk to 6 kind of gives me the go-ahead that I think it's okay to. This is fine. I think I'm going to try to... Oh, dear. Oh, we are not winning this game. Oh, we are definitely not winning this game. Might as well know that. Yeah, it looks like we're against Show and Tell. And I guess I should have upkeeped it to play around Thoughtseize. But this is way too slow of a hand to beat Show and Tell. And they're quite capable of winning the game pretty quick on a multi-5. Maybe I should have guessed that it was Show and Tell and kept the 6, considering they were multi-5 with no companion. Yeah. No, I think I should have kept the 6. Because that was a hand that if it drew what it needed could beat Show and Tell. I mean, that could have been a turn 2 kill. Yeah, punished for not playing around Thoughtseize, but we only drew a land, so it's fine. Or wait, I forget, but either way, it doesn't matter. Because I don't have a choice. But yeah, I think, because no companion and mulling to 5, because in this format, so many decks have companions, and mulling to 5, kind of like how when your opponent mulligans, you're like, oh, they're a Tron player in Modern. Kind of similar to Show and Tell and Timeless, and then no companion. Probably should have guessed. Though, I mean, that's a breach, right? This could be a turn 3 or 4 kill. Gotta kind of hope that they don't have Show and Tell on 3 into Omni. I'm gonna put Stitcher's hand. But anyway, Mistress hand seems bad since this is not the kind of game we're playing, and putting Diabolic Intent in hand with no creatures to sack seems very bad. I mean, winnable. Drawing Breach was pretty good, so. Yeah. Well, it kind of seems like my opponent is missing something. Lots of brainstorming going on. Makes it less likely they're missing something, but no fetch land. They could be brainstorm locked. Possible. Immediately plays a fetch land. Okay, miss your land drop. Because if they miss a land drop, we know that they're mana screwed for another 2. Yeah. I had to try. This is okay. Basically, just kind of sitting here going, well, I win in 2 turns. If you Thoughtseize me, that takes much longer. If you show and tell into exactly Omni and win the game, then I'm dead. Otherwise, I'm gonna win. Because next turn I'm playing Luris plus Stitchers, or like Luris plus something else, and the following turn I am winning. Dig makes it highly unlikely that they don't find what they need. I will tell you that. Okay, Breach off the top. Dark Ritual off the top. Come on, one time. Oh, wow, that's a top deck and a half. Oh, well, their hand is trash. None of this matters. You can keep all of them. Okay, never mind. Never mind. Probably no point in taking the assemble, right? Might as well take Atraxa. Fatal Push is useless here. Well, Fatal Push isn't useless. Because they could assemble into a fetch land. Because I need Lurrus to survive a turn. So actually the take is Fatal Push. Which took me a couple seconds to arrive to, but yeah. I'm convinced that is correct. I mean, there's still things that they could combine their draw step and assemble. Like, their draw step plus assemble could get them to certain things, for sure. Though Lure and Reveal is not one of those things at all. It's completely useless. It's worse than a land because... Yeah. Okay, so what are they looking for here? They're hoping that I can't win on my turn. Is what they're doing. Period. Unless they're meaning something crazy, they should not be able to do anything here. Yeah, taps up for assemble. Okay, GG's. I'd be shocked if I can't win here. Go ahead and crack this. In the deck, put the cards in graveyard. Guess I might as well just get a blood crib. Life total doesn't matter. Nothing matters. In fact, makes things very easy. And... oh my god. Wait, there's no Dark Ritual. I swear there was a Dark Ritual. Oh dear. Oh, that ain't it. Well, I could have won this turn. I could have Breach, not play Stitchers, sack Luris, get a Dark Ritual, Luris, Ritual Supplier, GG's. So that's really, really bad. Still, I think, very winnable, though. Oh, and so close to lethal. Oh my, wait. Playing the Supplier was so bad, because I could also just attack for 3 and bolted them 3 times. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. What am I? Yikes. So, still probably fine, because I can Thoughtseize them. Let me just take the show and tell. I'm not feeling it today. So they draw show and tell. They can't, like, draw show and tell or dig into show and tell or assemble into show and tell. Is there a reason for me to bobble here? There is, in case they, like, kill the Luris, I suppose. Oh wait, I should have done this before I Thoughtseized. Oh, what a throw. It doesn't matter, though. I know I win at this point. Oh my god. Wait, I should have bobbled before I Thoughtseized, because then I would know what they draw. And then if it's a show and tell, then I could take the Omni and leave them the Traxa, which is better. And if it's not, then yeah, okay, that was also horrific. Okay, yeah. Anyway, do as I say, not as I do. I need to get better at playing and recording at the same time. This is grim. What am I doing? It's been a long day. Oh man. I don't want to just like delete this now out of shame. Oh, I played that horrifically. Oh, that really ain't it. It's fine though. You can learn from my mistakes. Yeah, we got there anyway. Never punished, right? We won, therefore we played perfectly. You heard it here first. Alright. See, siding against show and tell is easy because some cards are really bad, some cards are really good. Very nice and simple. Everyone on show and tell is playing Fatal Push, so did someone in the Timeless Creator Clash play it with Fatal Push or something? I don't know. It's a mystery. I'm curious though, because I really never liked show and Fatal Push main deck and show and tell, but to each their own, I suppose. Alright, let's see what our opening hand looks like. Hopefully we can get some solid openers here. I can't complain, right? My opponent got much more unlucky than me. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, please. His hand is nuts. So, presumably, if they're on Fatal Push, they're not on Dark Ritual. So, I don't need to worry about dying right away. I think I'll actually save one of these fetch lands. So, what I'll do is I'll go DRC. I'll just pass. Because next turn I'm going DRC, Bauble, Thoughtseize, and just going to town. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. This is both a lot of pressure and gets me very close to just win it with Breach on turn 3. Because a lot of different things that I find will get me there. No sense in bobbling since I have a fetch land, so I won't actually know what their top card is. So I'll just Thoughtseize first. Because Thoughtseize could change how I surveil off the baubles. Yeah. I would like to turn on Delirium, but it's not actually crucial because I'm not worried about Bone Monsters. Well, Thoughtseize is going to the bin. Everything is going to the bin right now because I want to win with the Unrolled Breach on turn 3. Curious. Again, none of these cards matter. You can have all of them. Yeah, I mean, I have to take the Atraxa, right? Nothing else makes sense. Because Show and Tell is redundant, and Show and Tell Atraxa would dig for anything just as well as Assemble would. I mean, I don't actually need to keep that on top, right? So I'll just mill it. I have Breach. Oh, you know what? No. They would only have one black mana, so they would need to rip Thoughtseize. But I am a little worried about... No, I think I need more cards in Graveyard. Because there's a possibility that I whiff on everything for a while. And I don't like that possibility. Oh my god, are you kidding me? And I know it's coming too. Oh, this sucks. Oh my god, come on. That was the only card in their deck that did anything. Aside from Thoughtseize maybe doing a little. Ugh. That's so tilting. Well, they need to hit off the Assemble. That's it. They need to hit off the Assemble. I'm just gonna F6 here. That's unfortunate. It's fine though, we get to play game 3. I'm so excited to play game 3 against Show and Tell. I mean, they're like 99% to here. Presumably this is an Atraxa. No, dig. Okay, well, top 7, right? It is non-zero that they whiff. Nah, they pick too fast. I'm just dead. Yeah. Yeah, they're chaining them. The second they show me Atraxa, I'm out of here. Okay. That is a sign of a desperate man. Okay. You found it. Okay, Demonic Tutor. Demonic Tutor is gonna be it. Would not be shocked to see an approach here. Or actually, no, not approach. Yeah, okay, yeah. That'll do it. Yeah. Man, that was unfortunate. Thoughtseize them into seeing double show and tell, and then they just ripped the Omni. That's unfortunate. But on the play, we've got a pretty good shot, I think. Wow, that is unfortunate. I don't think there's anything I could have done to play around it. Yeah, literally nothing. The only decision point in that game is keeping a breach on top. Though, I don't know. Because here's the thing, right? With two DRCs, each Dark Ritual costs one card, but I see two cards more. As soon as I find, like, Stitcher's plus Intent, I guess Intent, period, I just win. But, and I was going to go up to 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. 9 with a fetch land and graveyard. I was going to see, like, 12 cards. 14. Yeah. I don't know, maybe I should have cut the reach on top. That was probably greedy. Yeah. I'll keep this basically just because of Vortex on 2. And because I have the breach in hand. But this hand desperately needs to find some gas. Having the Surveillant in the deck is just so insane. Like, this is kind of the reason why I want a second, even. Though, it's a little sketchy to run 2 tapped lands. But without a Surveil land, this is Snap Maul. But with a Surveil land, I don't know. Oh, crazy. Oh, like, crazy. I just don't want to throw away a Rolling Vortex. Nah, this is Death Shaman is just mana. There's no point in keeping it on top. I mean, this has to be a Lorien, right? A Lorien or a oh, Dragon's Rage is a nice draw. I think I'll just get down Rolling Vortex now because it's more mana efficient. But Dragon's Rage is exactly what I'm looking for here, because that fills the graveyard really fast. I think I'm probably just going to go Luris to hand, though, next turn, unless I draw something. I'm just praying that... Oh, don't Spell Pierce me. Come on. Okay, nice. This is a little unfortunate, because Rolling Vortex telegraphs the fact that they need a Growth Grip, which I don't know how many they're running. But it also makes them more likely to show and tell Attracts into play, which... I think in this case, I wouldn't entirely mind. I'm just bringing Luris to hand. I mean, if they Besage me, like, this isn't great. Maybe I am supposed to mulligan because on the play, Thoughtseize is so much better. It's a difficult hand. Because Vortex is so good. It really depends on their list. That's the thing. It's like some decks are just much more resilient to Vortex than others. But I'll say, like, turn 2 Vortex on the play, it only loses to Spell Pierce or Thoughtseize. And once you get it down early, then it pressures at a life total. You gotta take Luris, yeah. Pressures at a life total, so they have less and less spells under the Omni. Oh man, that was a draw and a half. What is this? What is this? Okay, good. I mean, personally, I would have not fetched right away, but I guess if they know what they're looking for and they want to just F6. Oh. No, that doesn't quite do it, does it? Just Shy, because I can go Breach, Dark Ritual, doesn't get me anywhere. I can go Darcy, Breach, doesn't get me anywhere. Yeah. Alright, DRC. I don't know why. Some people around me call it Darcy. They're bad influences. I think DRC is much superior to Darcy. You can fight me on that. Okay, Fatal Push. That is fine. I'm gonna have to do some serious math next turn to see if I can actually win. Goes to 10. I kind of expect on a track, though, to be honest. Let's see if I'm right. Yes, sir. I mean, I don't know why I'm yes sirring. This is really bad for me in theory. But okay, no second show and tell and no Omni though. So I theoretically have more than one turn. Theoretically. I'm gonna sack this now. It's in the deck. I don't get a Watery Grave. Alright. A lot of hits that just win me the game on the spot. That is the best card in my deck. Okay, well, we top deck back. This is revenge for the previous game. Oh, we take those. Oh, we take those to the bank. Nice. Yeah. This is just game. I'm just gonna hit him with the GG, because they have nothing, they should just scoop. And if they don't scoop, I have to edit this part of the video. Which I am loath to do. I'm not going to screw this up, am I? This is pretty impossible to screw up, though. Yeah, that was... I don't know. I keep coming back to that hand. Hands with this deck are kind of weird. Because they're often missing a lot. And you're not really sure if you're supposed to keep them or not. I think more so than the average deck, you end up with hands that are like a single card makes or breaks them. But yeah. I would say, because of Wailing Vortex, you do need to watch for Atraxa more. Like, you saw that in the... Oh wait, I could just win here much faster. I don't know why I'm doing it this way. I forgot that I don't actually need to play around Veil of Summer. So I can just go Dark Ritual and Tendrils them. Yeah, I actually dragged this out for way too long. I was not paying attention. Not Exile on Earth, just in case. Yeah, nice. Oh, okay. I guess I'll get juked by the Tendrils. Nice. That was a pretty textbook game against Show and Tell in some ways. Where you land an early Vortex to stifle them and then kind of go off in peace because they don't have much interaction. Yeah, the hand paid off. I think it was a fine keep because of the Surveil land. I think that's really what it comes down to. But I also think we drew pretty well. Nice. Well, alright, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, give me that engagement. Like, comment, subscribe. I read comments, I'll answer your questions. Also, good luck if you're playing in the Timeless Metagame Challenge next month. Next weekend. If you want to prep for it, I recommend checking my Patreon, linked in the description, as I mentioned earlier. Also, join my Discord. And yeah, that's going to be it. If you have any questions, also feel free to drop them in the comments. I read all the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.